Hello. So today, what's really calling me to share with you is this conversation on self-care. Um, One of the big reasons why it's calling me is I had this beautiful aha moment for me this morning about self-care. And it's redefining what self-care is for me. And I had an It's again, it's one of those things that like I knew up here in my head, but it didn't really sink in to here. I hadn't embodied it yet. And so if you're new to me or haven't been keeping up with what I'm doing, I started an online community at the beginning of this month. I'm recording this at the last third of November. Um, uh, the community's name is Embodied, and it's all about us learning how to live embodied and what that means. And so, uh, when this came up for me this morning and it felt really important that I share it, I was like, do I just share this in my embodied community? And I decided, no, this really needs to go to everyone. So hopefully, this is something that's going to serve you and help you look at self care with new eyes. And hopefully, it'll start to sink in here and it won't just be up here. So I'm just going to maybe let me talk through my evolution of how I've understood and embodied self care in my life. Um, Self care used to be, let's do the face mask and let's eat the cake and the ice cream because I really want it. And let's go get that massage or that pedicure or spend the night on the couch just binge watching Netflix or coming home from work and pouring myself a bourbon, to take the edge off and just decompress. So, or going out to the movies with my husband instead of focusing on whatever it was that I needed to get done for work or school. Because, again, if y'all haven't been following me, I have a doctorate in nursing. I went through essentially 8 years of school. Um, over the course of my 20s and 30s to complete my degrees. So there's a lot of school time, a lot of work time. Anyway, I digress. But what I also knew that like self care was taking the Epsom salt bath when the muscles are sore and working out and trying to eat right, right? Like I knew those, but maybe I'm not doing those so well. Um, but then as my view of self care changed, it became a little more self care includes the things that may not be always that fun. Like self care would be not pouring the bourbon and instead just sitting with how I felt after coming home from work or doing the workout instead of pouring the bourbon and allowing my body to release some of that stress naturally, right? Um, Self care became more about trying to eat right rather than indulging in the sweet treat that my body craved. Um, so self care kind of evolved from doing whatever indulgent practice felt good to me that basically put a band aid over how I was really feeling and doing. Um, and just, it's kind of like painting over a spot of rust on a car without sanding it down and doing the primer and just expecting that to keep working. The rust is going to keep coming through until you actually deal with the rust, right? So it involved more into these are the things I know I need to do to take care of myself. And it's not that doing the pedicure, or the massage or the face mask was ever wrong, but oftentimes it was the reasons behind them that I was doing them. That's what actually made it not necessarily self-care. Sometimes it was, sometimes it wasn't. And then after my spiritual awakening, it started evolving into spending time going within. So sitting in meditation is a huge part of my self-care routine or arsenal. I'm not sure how you put it. Meditation is certainly a routine that I have. Uh, and yet I try to not let meditation become routine. Hope that makes sense. I might come back to that. We'll see. That might be something else, another video. But it became important that I spend time getting to know my heart, my soul, to getting to know God, the universe, source, or Gus for short. If you like acronyms and you don't like either of those names, you can just call him Gus. But it also became important that I really do focus more on what my body's asking me for the day. And sometimes I got it right, sometimes I got it wrong. That's fine. Like, this is all learning and growing. We get to get it wrong so that we get to learn and grow from it. It's not bad to get something wrong or to make a mistake. So, sometimes I mistook a craving as my body really needed this particular food and it seemed appropriate and not just an excuse to binge on ice cream or something. And maybe I was actually wrong on that. Or maybe my ego was telling me I really needed to rest when in reality I actually needed to move. But I did the rest instead because part of the coming in here and the meditating and getting to know me is getting to know me versus my ego, which has been me for my whole life up until I realized, no, it's not. Um, so again, I feel like I'm digressing and going off on a tangent, so I apologize, but hopefully this is all helping, making sense, and you're following me. So getting to know myself, learning how to live more embodied, learning that the way to deal with or cope with really strong emotions or feelings was not to ignore them, to numb them, to distract from them, to avoid them, um, or to think through them and analyze them and like, oh, I'm feeling sad about this, or oh, I'm feeling really angry about this, and this is why, and these are the things I need to do. And we do that, right? We think through our feelings, thinking that we're feeling our feelings. And so learning how to actually feel them in my body and making it safe in my body to do that, and coming to the realization that I'm not going to drown or get carried away by the emotions, and it's actually going to help fully resolve and dissolve those emotions in my body so that I can actually heal. So that's also a big part of my self-care routine or arsenal now, is actually letting myself feel the emotions, whether they are like so strong and what we would consider bad, or like just uncomfortable. Like it gets really uncomfortable sometimes to do it. So learning that self-care is not about staying in your comfort zone. Whew. Yes, that's it. Self-care is not about staying in your comfort zone. One more time for the peanut gallery. Self-care is not about staying in your comfort zone. And what really hit me today is that, yes, I've been doing the meditation, I've been feeling the feelings. I've just kind of naturally, since, I don't know, middle, end of August, started to really feel like it was time for me to start working out again. Because I haven't, other than my yoga practice and, the occasional walk or hike, I haven't consistently had a strengthening or other exercise program. And I used to really enjoy lifting weights and helping my body be strong because it helps it in so many ways. Like, I know this, right? You likely know that exercise routinely is really beneficial for your body, right? So, what hmm, what I realized this morning is, beyond just the exercise, the meditation, the feeling of my feelings, I've been really wanting to get into more artistic expression. I want to start playing my clarinet again. I want to remember how to read music. Like, I look at a piece of music and I'm like, I do not know what note that is, nor do I know. Like, I can pull out my clarinet now and I can play some things by ear and make notes, but I can't tell you with this hand position what note that is, anymore. So, like, there are things I want to do. I want to start painting and drawing, not because I'm necessarily phenomenal at it, but because it's something that I think I would enjoy and would really help free up a lot of stuff in me. And I've started and stopped every single one of those things. And like, it's just felt impossible to go through it. And that's because right now, for me, self care is doing the thing that just absolutely overwhelms me. Like, I don't want to face it, I don't want to do it. But my body, my soul, that's what's calling me right now. And what that is going through all of my stuff and getting rid of stuff, organizing stuff, putting things away, finding homes for things, donating things, throwing things, selling things. We downsized a couple of years ago into our current home. Um, and we downsized to what is less than a third of the size of our previous home. Huge downsize. Well, we did it rather quickly and we didn't downsize all of our stuff. And I had finally gotten in the other home where everything had its place. Everything had, like, was organized and put away, and you could find stuff and it was easy to keep clean. And then we moved. So what's been staring at me every day that I start to go blind to because I just don't want to see it and I don't know how to deal with it, is all the stuff. It's not that we are terribly messy people or don't clean the home. but we clean around all the stuff rather than dealing with the stuff. And how can I expect to have the ability to artistically express myself when I haven't created a space for me to artistically express myself? And this goes beyond just creating a space in the house, which is difficult to say the least. With, I think we're just over 1,300 square feet, if that um, gives you any idea of the size of the house we moved from. But uh, it's about creating the space in here. And as long as I refuse to face the stuff in my environment and what's showing up for me every day, which I've always talked about, that what's showing up for me in the void, in the space today, in the heart space. Well, today what showed up was all the stuff in my physical living space. And I've known it for at least 2 years. I've known it, that I need to deal with the stuff. I need to do it. And um, some headway has been made, but like, we expected to get through it all in the first winter we were in the home, and we did almost nothing. So if that gives you any idea of how easy it is for us to avoid doing the part of self-care that's really being asked of us to do, um, when you don't want to do it because it's making you face a part of you that you haven't wanted to face for whatever reason. And your power, your magnificence is absolutely a reason to avoid facing something sometimes. So don't think it's always a bad thing, you know, uh, or an ugly thing. So for me, what my self-care needs to look like now is, instead of sitting down all the time and avoiding the stuff and doing anything else, my self-care needs to be getting up and starting to tackle one pile at a time and process through it, and not just make new piles, but actually go through and get rid of things or put things in their places. That's part of my self-care. Last night, another example of this that might seem kind of odd, but last night I ate a piece of lasagna, and it was like leftover lasagna that had been frozen for a couple of months. And so I unthawed it. And of course, when my husband packed it away, he packed away like huge squares of this. So rather than thawing it out enough that I could cut it in half, which is really all I needed, I was like, I will just eat the whole square. Oh my gosh, I was so uncomfortably full. And so afterwards, and I watched a movie. Yeah, I watched a movie, and the movie ended, and I was like, what do I do next? So I started another movie. Like, I don't want to do anything, and I don't want to move. Like, I didn't want to get up and move, but like my body felt like itchy, almost like, oh, like restless, like I can't stay still anymore. It really wanted me to move. Now, and it was really dark outside, and I was wearing black sweatpants. I have a black jacket, and I was like, I probably shouldn't just go for a walk out on the streets and hope cars see me in time. Like, so I was like, all right, a walk is out, but I need to move, and I need to move in this tiny little space. So I put on some music, and I kind of danced, cleaned, you know, cleaned the kitchen and vacuumed my main floors really well. And that really helped with how my body was feeling. I was able to get in my body and do what it was asking me to do. And to be fair, I've been working on this for years now, trying to listen and understand what my body's asking me. And I mean, it takes a while. And one of the reasons why I share these things with you is so that hopefully you pick this up so much quicker than I've picked it up. So self-care isn't necessarily what you think it is. For me, self-care is getting up, doing the cleaning, organizing the things, moving around the house, and not defaulting to the couch, um, or even just defaulting to my office chair to do things online. Like, I'm looking around my office, and this is one of my more organized spaces, but I've kind of let my desktop become a mess. My physical filing system is almost non-existent, and even what is existent, the stuff on my desktop needs to be filed. So there's just these things that I should be doing that I've defaulted to avoiding. Like, I'm addicted to the chaos, and the chaos is keeping me small and is keeping me contained in this little box and preventing me from expanding into who I really am. So, what are you addicted to? Maybe you're addicted to staying on the move, continually cleaning, organizing, taking care of everyone else, driving your kids to the sporting events. And none of those things are wrong or bad. And it's not that you should stop them, but maybe what is self-care for you is letting the pile of dishes just stay there for an hour while you actually sit down with yourself. Maybe self-care is asking your kids and your partner to give you even just 20 minutes alone by yourself. Like, you don't have to have this huge monumental time. Like, I just spent time with a friend this week who I don't often get to see except in a professional capacity every couple of weeks, because she doesn't know when she has time to do everything. And every time I finally asked her, I'm like, what do you think this is? Like, we don't have to spend an entire day together to hang out. We don't have to have a kid-free time, you know, carved away. And I can just show up and have tea with you in the middle of your chaos. And we can just enjoy each other's company and what's going on for a couple of hours or even just an hour. And it's perfect. Like, that's all we really need. And that's exactly what we did this week. And it was really beautiful to just spend that little bit of time together chatting. And yeah, the kids were there. In fact, the kids were double the number because she was watching someone else's kids too that day. And her husband was off taking care of something else. So when the kids needed her for something, we stopped our conversation and she dealt with that. And it didn't ruin the experience. And we both got so much out of that time together. So just because you feel your life is chaos, or you feel like you have to be there all the time for everything, and you start to think that this is the only way I'm going to get it, if you have this very specific vision of what self-care is, like maybe self-care to you looks like a day at the spa and you're never going to get it because when can you ever take an entire day off to go to the spa, or how are you going to be able to afford it? Well, then you're never going to be able to care for yourself, right? You're never going to get there. It's this unrealistic idea of what self-care is, what it has to look like, and chances are that's not actually what your body needs. For me, it's almost like allowing myself to grow up. Like, really, Lydia, just grow up, deal with your stuff. Like, how hard is this? Well, it turns out that as good as I am at being an adult, I'm not really good at being an adult. And what I say next is going to help make this make sense for you. I became an adult at 5 years old. So my version of an adult is a 5-year-old masquerading as an adult. All right. How well do you think a 5-year-old knows how to adult? Huh? She doesn't. She gets overwhelmed easily by a lot of stuff. And she's going to avoid a lot of other things in favor of other things. My my inner child who had to adult was really good at emotionally managing the situation and making herself as unobtrusive as possible and doing everything she could to be as perfect as she could so that she could gain whatever approval, or at a minimum, being as perfect as she could so that, best case scenario, she didn't get yelled at or punished, right? So when you have your inner child being your adult, masquerading as you as an adult, and maybe this isn't you, but I'm going to bet that a lot of you identify with this, having to grow up too early. We don't necessarily learn how to appropriately adult. So, like 3 weeks ago, I finally felt like I can dedicate myself to an actual grown up skincare routine. Oh my God. Like, really? I'm 42 years old. How have I not had a regular and full skincare routine until 3 weeks ago? It's nuts, right? It's nuts. I'm finally remembering to floss every day. Again, why, why was that so hard? Sure, I brush my teeth twice a day, every day, like, and but there's these things that, and it's going to be different for everyone. Maybe there's some overlap. I feel like there's a lot of my stuff that, like, I look at what a lot of people bring to me, and a lot of the background rationale, if you will, for why they approach things this way might be the same or similar to me, but what they're doing often shows up differently. So I'm holding up a mirror, but you got to figure out what it's showing you, because it's kind of like a circus mirror where it's showing you not exactly the same thing. It's not an exact reflection, if that makes sense. So what is your body and your soul actually asking from you? If you never let yourself rest before everyone else in your family is taken care of, then that's what your family sees, and your kids see, your partner sees, it's what your friends see, it's what the outside world sees. And what they learn is that You're going to do all the things for them so that they don't have to, and you are always going to be able to do it. Or they're going to learn, in the case of your children, they might learn that that's what's expected when they're an adult. They have to do all the things and they don't get to rest. What's amazing is very rarely, when we actually look at what we're doing, would we tell other people or want our kids to do the same thing and to treat themselves the same way. So what you actually do is what's going to show up mirrored in your life in some way. So me avoiding the chaos and the overwhelm means that chaos and overwhelm keep showing up in my life. Because avoiding it doesn't make it go away. It just makes it grow. For you, not taking care of yourself in whatever way you're not taking care of yourself is going to show up in some way. Maybe your kids or your spouse or friends are taking advantage of you because you keep letting them, ask more and more of you. And you're growing resentful that your teenage kids will never do the dishes or do them well enough, which is another thing. We also have to be willing to let go of control. But again, another video. And honestly, probably a conversation best left for the embodied membership. But stop making the excuses of, I don't have the time. You find time for everything else. How do you expect yourself to carry on or to get your kids to learn how to take care of themselves properly and to respect space and self-care if you never show them what that looks like? That's, my mom always said, listen to your body, listen to your body when I was a kid. You got to listen to your body. She never actually listened to her body in a way like what I saw, the message I received, what I saw her do and emulate and role model for me, and what I saw my dad role modeling for me, none of that was listening to their bodies. It was just a saying that they said to make excuses for something else. So what you say, is it matching up with what you're actually doing? And is what you are doing actually matching up with your energy? Because your kids are going to pick up on all three, but they're going to follow the energy and the doing before they follow the words. We default to following people's and the world's energies and actions way before the words. I mean, just think about the tone of voice that someone can use when saying something and how you respond based on just what their tone of voice is. The words might be exactly the same, but you change that tone of voice and they have entirely different meanings. So self-care is finding what your energy wants from you in your body and then aligning your actions or inactions to that. All right. And it might be overwhelming. It might be asking you to face something you do not want to face. But when you actually choose courage and face it, your entire world opens up to you in a way that you didn't even know was possible. Because every time I make that choice and I face the next thing in front of me, it's incredible, like the cascade of events and things that just open up in my life or in me that I didn't even know maybe were even closed off, or opportunities that I hadn't even looked for, but wow, incredible. So I'm going to wrap this up now, but I hope that this this got you in here. I hope that you allowed it to get in here and you didn't just let it stay up in your head. And if you want more of these conversations and you want to like ask questions and get into discussion with me about these things and how we do it and actually start practicing some of these things with me, then yeah, join Embodied. It's super affordable. And you never have to leave your home to be able to do it. And you also don't have to attend live calls to be a part of Embodied and get these conversations, because I record all of it and it goes up in the member library so that you can listen to it when you have the time, because maybe the live call schedule doesn't work, but also at least at the time of making this video, and I don't know when you're going to watch this, but as I'm making this video, because my membership is new and while I intuitively lead it, I also co-create it with you, my members. And so when you join, there's a survey asking you, when are good meeting times? When do you want to meet? Like, because we should all get to co-create this together. So if you want to do it, head to my website. Or if you just want to check out one of my guided meditations or other ways to work with me, again, head to my website. It's www.thelcoaching.com. So thanks for sticking with me through this whole conversation. Again, I hope it served you. You're welcome to let me know in the comments. And if you're still here, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I love you all, and I will talk to you soon.